It's review time. So in today's episode of EiferRates, we'll be talking about the Plume Veil RDA. So I'm going to overlay some still shots because I have a build in this thing, and frankly, I've had it for a while. I can tell you the ins and outs of it without having to take it apart. So here are the still shots for it. I'm going to keep explaining while you look at them. So this is the Plume Veil RDA. I've had it for quite some time, like I've said, and I have a lot of experience with this thing. Personally, I'm not too thrilled with it. It's not one of my favorite RDAs. It's better than my first one, which was the iGo W, which I think I did a video about. I'm not 100% sure. This is much easier to build on than than that one and other RDAs I've seen, but it's not as good as one I'll be reviewing later, which is the Redemption RDA. My major thing about this is I like the fact that it has adjustable airflow, which is important if you're trying to get different size, like bigger plumes of vapor. It actually, you can even, this little washer on the inside, you can use, you twist the top of your what's called your drip tip, and see it opens up. It comes up like that, and goes down like so, up until the point where it's closed off completely, or well, opened up completely and closed off completely. I like that. So I'll show you guys the different airflow options for it. First of all, we're going to start with fully open. I'm going to turn to the side so you guys can see a little bit more. So it's pretty nice. So we're going to close it off about halfway. To close it off, you turn the top section right here. So we're going to close it off about halfway, and when you turn it, it adjusts both sides of the airflow. So we got that on there. Also, one thing I'm going to say about this thing is if you get it, make sure you never, ever, ever lose one of the screws, any of the screws, because it doesn't sit flush if you do. I have screws in here that are a little bit larger than the ones, by larger I mean they're a little bit taller than the ones that are on here, and it doesn't sit flush, unfortunately. So I have it about halfway closed. Yeah, about halfway closed, and let's show it off. That's with just that halfway closed, and now I'll show you with this partially up. Makes some pretty good plumes of vapor. Now I'm going to close it all the way and twist this thing till it's up all the way, like so. You can see the major difference. And it, by the way, because of my screws, when this thing is up all the way, it becomes flush. I don't know. I think it's because the screws are tighter, taller than they should be. Anyway. As you can see, I have to pull a lot harder because there is a lot more room, so to speak. There's not a lot less airflow so it's pretty much all the way closed off. So you got to pull a little bit harder. Don't mind me, just doing a little drippy drew, if you will, little drippy drew, and I'll show you again. Also makes it a bit warmer. One more. Actually makes it a lot warmer, excuse me. Yes, I'm gonna leave that in. I don't like it when it's all the way open like that. Or all the way closed like that. It's too warm for me. So we're gonna screw her back down to where I like it, which is about this all the way open or closed or whatever you want to say, and it about halfway, this part about halfway open, which is where I normally keep it. But once again, if you have screws that aren't the right size, it doesn't sit flush, unfortunately. But still get some pretty good vapor production. Without as much, I don't have to pull as hard, and I can vape for longer, and it doesn't get really warm. Case in point. There you go. So basically, it's pretty good. I prefer, to be honest, when I have it built at least 1 ohm, I actually prefer to use this device at 1 ohm on a device on RDA, on a device like my MVP, because it works better. This is definitely something I think you want to keep at a higher ohm build. It's not really that great, in my opinion, for sub-ohming. So I'm just going to do a 1 ohm coil for you guys, show it off on here, and I'll get back to you. Alright guys, so unfortunately I was not able to do a like a 1 ohm or 1.5 ohm coil at this point in time, but I did end up making something close to it. It's a 0.08, so almost 1 ohm coil. Takes a second to heat up, but yeah, it's a pretty good build, I have to say. It's not going to work on my MVP because it's not. It's still a sub-ohm coil. This is more. I think this is more of a flavor coil, but that's besides the point. Back to the Plume Veil itself. So I'm gonna basically give you my pros and cons of this thing. Not too many pros or cons, to be honest with you. Realistically, I think that the really the only pro to this thing is it's fairly easy to build on. Not as easy as something like a Redemption or whatever, but if it's your first RDA, I would recommend it. Like I said, I had an iGo-W, and that thing was, although it was inexpensive, it was, you know, it's kind of a piece of crap. I'll be honest with you, I would not recommend an iGo-W to anybody. This is actually a pretty good first RDA. So, that being said, the cons are, for me, the screws are tiny and really easy to lose, and I haven't found any ones that fit it at all, really. I found some that were the same height or whatever, but not the same width. I can't find ones that are the same width, unfortunately. Even though I looked up the exact size screw, I still couldn't find it anywhere. So you're gonna have, if you lose these screws, you're gonna have to get ones that are a bit too tall for it. And that kind of sucks, especially if you want to adjust the airflow using the drip tip. That being said, it's a nice first one, nice first RDA. I haven't had any real issues with it other than that, so I'm gonna score this one a 3.5 out of a possible 5 stars, based solely on the fact that the screws are hard to replace, or at least they have been for me. But if you want a good beginner RDA and you're not a klutz like I am, you're not going to lose screws really easily, then I would say go for it. Another thing I'll say about it is also it's a relatively inexpensive RDA. I'll post the price in the video somewhere here because I can't remember it right now. But it wasn't that expensive. I think it was like 30 some odd dollars or so, maybe a little bit more. So if you're looking for your first RDA, I would actually highly recommend it. But for somebody like me, who I've been doing this for almost a year now, it's okay. I prefer my Redemption so far. Anyway, that about wraps it up for this episode of EiferRates. So I'm going to say DFTBA and vape on. Hey guys, just a quick reminder to go down to CASA.org if you want to continue to be able to vape the way we like to vape, if you don't want big tobacco to take over the industry and make it so we can't use the devices we want to use the juices we want to use, and all that kind of stuff. I need you to take action, donate, do whatever you can. There'll be a link in the description, as always, and check it out. Go to CASA.org. DFTBA and vape on.